What if I told you there's a country in Southeast Asia where I found rainbow flags in coffee shops, where I met local artists celebrating queer stories, and where you can walk hand in hand with your partner without a second thought? Many travelers overlook Cambodia, focusing mainly on its temples and historical sites. But after spending 2 weeks there as an openly gay traveler, I discovered why it might be the most welcoming destination you've never considered. Here's what I mean. This reflects my personal experience traveling there, and what I found challenged every assumption I had about Southeast Asia. But I'll be honest, getting on that plane wasn't easy. The fear that almost kept me home. Like most LGBTQ+ travelers, I'd developed a deep wariness about Southeast Asia. The fear of discrimination, harassment, or worse keeps many of us scrolling past those stunning temple photos and beach destinations. For months before my trip, I spent hours researching Cambodia's stance on LGBTQ rights, cultural attitudes, and safety concerns. The research painted a mixed picture, at best. While homosexuality isn't illegal in Cambodia, I found scattered stories from travel forums about staying deeply closeted in the region. Thailand gets praised for its acceptance, but even there, the advice was always to keep public affection minimal. Cambodia seemed caught somewhere in between, not actively hostile, but not exactly welcoming either. Here's the thing, I developed this sixth sense as an LGBTQ+ traveler. You learn to read rooms, gauge reactions, and plan escape routes before you even need them. My mental preparation for Cambodia involved accepting I'd spent 2 weeks hyper-aware of every gesture, every word, every interaction. I packed neutral clothes, rehearsed conservative responses to personal questions, and prepared to become a master of deflection. I almost canceled 3 separate times. Each story I read online made the decision harder. The discussions weren't specifically about Cambodia, but they painted Southeast Asia as a region where being openly queer meant taking serious risks. The advice from travel forums was always the same: stay vigilant, stay quiet, stay safe. Some suggested avoiding the region entirely if you couldn't handle going back into the closet for your entire trip. Walking through Phnom Penh Airport, my anxiety peaked. Every interaction with customs, taxi drivers, and hotel staff felt loaded with potential judgment. I'd built up this narrative of needing to protect myself from a culture that might reject who I am. Within 3 hours of landing, every single fear proved completely wrong. What I discovered walking through Phnom Penh's neighborhoods challenged everything I thought I knew about acceptance in Southeast Asia, where rainbow flags hang like welcome signs. My first glimpse of unexpected acceptance came in the most ordinary place, a neighborhood coffee shop 3 blocks from my guest house. I'd wandered into this residential area looking for authentic street food when I noticed something that stopped me cold. There, hanging casually in the window next to handwritten menu boards in Khmer, was a small rainbow flag. You expect LGBTQ visibility in Western tourist bubbles. Bangkok's Silom, Berlin's Schönenberg, San Francisco's Castro, these places cater to international travelers who bring their expectations of acceptance. But finding that symbol in a neighborhood where I was clearly the only foreigner felt completely different. This wasn't performative inclusion designed for tourists. This felt like genuine community acceptance. Walking through Phnom Penh's creative districts, I kept encountering moments that challenged my assumptions. I found myself in conversations with locals who spoke openly about their community's evolving attitudes toward LGBTQ people. The art scene in particular seemed to embrace diverse voices as part of Cambodia's cultural landscape. People talked about queer artists and performers not as exceptions, but as valued contributors to the creative community. What struck me most was how natural these interactions felt. Nobody seemed compelled to lower their voice when discussing LGBTQ topics. Conversations flowed without the careful navigation I'd grown accustomed to in other destinations. The acceptance wasn't announced with fanfare. It simply existed in how people connected with each other. I'd spent weeks preparing to hide who I was, and instead found myself in spaces where being queer wasn't noteworthy enough to warrant whispers or stares. The openness felt woven into how communities function, how people relate to each other, and how conversations unfold naturally. Cambodia's cultural acceptance isn't tourism marketing, it's genuinely embedded in daily interactions and community life. This realization created something I hadn't expected, a complete shift in how I moved through the world as a traveler. For the first time in years, I stopped calculating risks with every step. 4. The freedom you didn't know you were missing. That shift unlocked something I hadn't realized I'd lost: the simple freedom to exist without constant vigilance. When was the last time you held your partner's hand without scanning the room first? As LGBTQ travelers, we develop this constant mental radar. You walk into restaurants calculating exit routes, you check who's watching before showing affection, you rehearse straight-sounding answers to personal questions from strangers. These safety calculations happen so automatically, you forget you're doing them until you find yourself somewhere you don't need to. Cambodia broke that pattern within days. Walking through Siem Reap's night markets, I reached for my partner's hand without thinking. No room scan, no anxiety spike, just the simple act of being ourselves in public space. In my experience, interactions flowed with the same ease you'd find in progressive Western cities. Vendors smiled and asked where we were from, tuk-tuk drivers offered restaurant recommendations for couples. The psychological shift happens gradually, then all at once. Day 1, you're still hyper-aware of every gesture. Day 3, you realize you've stopped editing yourself in conversations. By week 2, you're laughing loudly at temples, asking locals about the best date spots, and taking couple photos without checking who's around. Your nervous system finally exhales after holding its breath for years. This freedom transforms every experience. Exploring Angkor Wat becomes about the architecture instead of managing your image. Beach days in Sihanoukville turn into actual relaxation instead of performance anxiety. Restaurant conversations flow naturally because you're not filtering every word through a safety lens. You rediscover what travel felt like before you learn to protect yourself. What I found was that most people simply don't care who you love. They care that you're respectful visitors enjoying their country. Others actively welcome LGBTQ travelers with enthusiasm. From my perspective, this level of comfort felt comparable to what you'd find in Amsterdam or Montreal. You get the exotic adventure of Southeast Asian travel with the safety and acceptance of the world's most progressive destinations. The experience challenges everything you thought you knew about where LGBTQ travelers can feel truly free. Cambodia deserves serious consideration for any queer traveler's bucket list, but it represents something bigger than just another destination. My experience there flips the script on everything we assume about safe LGBTQ+ travel in Southeast Asia. While you're researching Western Europe and North America for your next trip, you're missing a destination where I found acceptance that felt deeper than tourist-friendly marketing. What I experienced was genuine cultural embrace, not performative tolerance. Stop letting outdated assumptions limit your adventures. Add Cambodia to your travel list. Research flights to Phnom Penh or Siem Reap, browse accommodations in the areas I mentioned, start planning that temple-hopping itinerary you've been putting off. Look into LGBTQ+ travel resources specifically for Cambodia to get current insights from other travelers. The world has more welcoming spaces than travel forums suggest. You just need to look beyond the stereotypes that keep incredible destinations off your radar.